Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome to the daily forecast for Sunday, September 8th, 2024. It is the day of the god. It is Sun's Day, Suna's Day, the 18th of Virgo, the 6th of Vine, the 18th of Bear, and the 9th of Tumandur. In our astrology, the sun is in Virgo, mutable earth, representing industry. The moon is in first quarter Scorpio, fixed water, representing brooding. Mercury is in Leo, fixed fire, representing ideals. Venus is in Libra, cardinal air, representing harmony. Mars is in Cancer, cardinal water, which represents seeking security. Jupiter is in Gemini, mutable air, representing questing. Saturn is in retrograding in Pisces, mutable water, which is about redefining dreams. Uranus is retrograding in Taurus, fixed earth, representing rebellion. Neptune is retrograding in Pisces, mutable water, which means spiritual awakenings. And Pluto is retrograding in Capricorn, cardinal earth, representing transformations. Now, the retrograde reminders for Saturn, it's about reclaiming your authority, specifically over yourself in your life. For Uranus, it's reconsider how you rebel. Not all struggling is actually very productive. So it does, the how and what effect it has, it actually does matter, as irritating as those details sometimes are. Sometimes just, unleashing your emotions and your dissatisfactions, that's not what the situation calls for. And if you're wanting change and you want your rebellion to mean something, you're going to have to start looking at results. And that's what Uranus is encouraging us to do. And for Neptune, reclaim your magic. For Pluto, reclaim your ability to regenerate, and for Chiron, restore the heroic spirit. Now, our moon phase is now in the first quarter, which means that we need to move forward everything that we intended to do. We need to be going in that general direction. For the Scorpio moon, some of the do's are focused, research, discover motives, and the don'ts are forming new acquaintances, going to family gatherings, and indulging in uninvited psychoanalysis. So, today is the day of the sun, and the attention to detail loving Virgo sun has the potential to align really beautifully with all of the impulses of the Scorpio moon that also desires to get into the nitty gritty of things, even though their motivations are quite different. For Virgo, it's about wanting to have everything orderly, all in a row, because it makes sense, because it will look perfect. And for Scorpio, it's like, I must uncover everything, I must unravel the mystery, I must find out what lurks beneath. So even though there are different motivations between those energies, it's still they're going in the same direction. They're wanting the same end result. So even if detail work is not something that comes very naturally to you, today is likely the best day to hone in on such matters. So if you have bookkeeping you need to do, or if there's any kind of planning that's required that you've been kind of, shuffling off to the back of the to-do list, today's the day to actually tackle it, because you have all of the proper atmosphere required for the job. Now, our tarot for today is the Two of Swords. The number two represents partnerships or rivalries. The suit of swords, think the rational masculine, projective energy, the air element, and thought. And the keywords specifically for the card are stalemate requiring choice, avoidance of necessary knowledge, and having a closed off heart. And I think the artist did a really beautiful job of conveying all of those impulses within this card, because, you have the cloaked figure there crossing the swords, the swan that's carrying the heart. It's not going to be able to move forward or get past that figure until some choices are made, until some negotiation actually takes place. The fact that they aren't necessarily moving closer together, that is what indicates that they are avoiding what they need to be doing in order to get forward. And the closed off heart, you see this heart dangling from that branch, and the swan's looking after it, and the hooded cloak, is looking down. A little bit of the cloak is actually shielding the eyes. They're not looking at the heart. And that's the danger when we have too much of this swords energy or too much air element energy, is that it creates an imbalance. As often as it is that we really do need to let the more analytical side of our brain take the lead in matters, if it is done at the complete ignorance of the heart, if we're also ignoring our instincts possibly as well along with that, that's not going to lead to a desirable outcome any more than an overindulgence of emotion will, or of blind listening to instincts, instinct without context. So that's just something to bear in mind in case, things happen to crop up today. Today's Celtic Triad reads, three things which bring a mate hate instead of love: peevishness, desires of dominance, and the pampering of one's own stomach. So we have several things here that I think are pretty straightforward for why that would cause irritation in a marriage. To be peevish is to be easily irritated over small, unimportant things, and that can be very tiresome to live with. And some people, they're just inclined towards being petty, or other things are bothering them, but they're not really talking about what's bothering them. So they're focusing on these little things instead because perhaps there's less risk to that. It's getting out some of their poison without actually dealing with the issue, which means the poison will continue to build up. But whatever the cause for it, it's not pleasant to have about the home. And then when it comes to a dominance, marriage is a partnership, not a military hierarchy. And the idea is to the contrary, that leads to endless unhappiness. It often contributes to divorce. And this is important for us to bear in mind because of, a lot of the narrative that we see getting pushed on social media. We have this resurgence of Abrahamic religions, and they want to make sure the man is in charge of the house and all this and that. Now, I am certainly in favor of a rebalancing between the sexes, and of course, husbands can and should have their own power and authority just as wives should. But it's about whether or not people are actually working together as a team, whether they are letting each other pursue their strengths and letting them shine in that instead of, elbowing in where, maybe it really would be better to be left to your spouse. There's a variety of things for this. And just this quest for power that isn't going to lead to a rebalancing between the sexes, which is one of the reasons why I have so little patience for a lot of the narrative we hear out of red pill circles or out of, the very, the man is going to be the head of the house. Well, if he's actually acting in a fashion that constitutes leadership, it's not going to be a power struggle between him and his wife over who's in charge because they're working in concert. So that's something to bear in mind, and also when the pendulum swings back and people think that this very literal rendering of biblical ideas hasn't led them to the outcomes that it has, and they start questioning whether or not it was human failures and imperfection, or maybe if there's something wrong with the idea itself. Well, we'll be expecting it, won't we? We will know that will be happening it, and when it does, there may be people who may be a little bit more opening to say, okay, I've done both extremes, neither extreme works out at all. So who has sensible ideas? And we do, as pagans, have sensible ideas. So down the road there are some opportunities for us to just kind of give people some information that can help them rebalance themselves, reconsider how they're handling their relationships. And it doesn't have to be anything that's preachy. And we can allow the tides to naturally even out over time. And then the last issue was gluttony, or more broadly, prioritizing personal pleasures over one's mate and family, possibly to the point of actively neglecting them. That's an incredibly unloving thing to do. And, obviously, you don't really want that going on in your household. And if it is, that is a problem. And, whatever you need to do to fix that, please pursue that by all means. Next up for today's magical correspondences, we are centered on the theme of wishes. For this, the color is yellow. The plant is hazel, the animal is the robin, and the crystal is citrine. So when it comes to wishes, what is it that you truly wish for? Not what you're wishing will not happening. This isn't about things that you're trying to avoid or things that you fear, but what do you actually wish to occur? Having a vision that is actually, I hate using this because it sounds so corporatized, but, having an affirmative vision, something I'm striving for, something I want to accomplish, focusing more so on that with your magical workings and with your mundane actions, that is going to be a lot more productive than constantly wringing your hands over all of the terrible things that might happen. So often, the decisions we make in our everyday life, our general mode of being, how we do things as a pattern of behavior, that is going to do more to stave off the big, scary possibilities out there than any kind of dramatic anything. It just the everyday life does a lot. There's a lot of ideas that people will reject because it's not really going to be compatible with how they live their lives on a daily basis. You'll see this in a lot of issues when it comes to political opposition of one form or another. You peel back enough layers and you'll see the reason why people are actually opposing it, assuming they're not just brainwashed zombies who are just, regurgitating talking points the TV told them. Assuming that's not the case, the underlying issue is that whatever is being proposed is going to be detrimental to their way of life. And so that is the reason for why they are going against it and why they're trying to maintain the life that they have, because the natural impulse is, I want to continue doing that which works for me. Now, thankfully, as practitioners, we can put a little extra magical muscle behind that. And, if you see more and more people doing this and you encourage them along that same path, offer them reassurance when things are perhaps a bit bleak on a given day, that does a lot more than we think to push back on the things we don't want to happen. So, tossing that out there for your consideration. Now, for today's practice, what masculine deity are you feeling connected with this season? This might be someone quite surprising. It might be someone entirely traditional. Just contemplating that. And I think we do need to make sure that we're not just solely giving our attention to just to goddesses or just to gods. I really think that even within the pagan community we are in need of a rebalancing of energies. So taking Sundays to consider that, I think that's a step in the right direction. And then another interesting question I would like to pose to you is, what lessons can your sun sign learn during Virgo season? Now, for the Virgos out there, this is your natural habitat. Enjoy, revel in it. This is probably less about you, taking notes and learning lessons at this point than it is for you just getting to enjoy your natural habitat, getting to more fully be who and what you are at heart. For the rest of the zodiac signs, what is it that we can learn from Virgos, particularly when we're thinking about the solar expression of Virgo energy? That can be something that could be very interesting for us to contemplate. And I think it's one of those little things that helps us understand astrology just a little bit better, a piece at a time. So, absolutely, if you have any thoughts on this, let me know in the comments. Next up, the root chakra. Are you feeling more or less rooted this season? Because everything is going back down into the ground, including the energy. Everything is just going down. A lot of you are probably already feeling that pull to turn inwards. I was, before I sat down to record, I was speaking with a lady, and she had pulled a card that was actually talking about retreat and solitude and, being a hermit and all of these things. And that wasn't just picking up on her energy, that's picking up on the ambient energy of the year. So, where are you at with that? And if you aren't rooted, it might be worth asking yourself why that might be. Then, for today's Hermetic principle, mentalism. Where are your thoughts? Your thoughts are, the beginning building block of shaping reality, at least the reality that you have some influence over. So it really does matter what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what general wavelength you are on, because everything that you ultimately manifest into the world begins right up here. And then the witch's pyramid, we're looking at the foundation today. Are you feeling steady on your spiritual feet? And if you aren't, I mean, please do not beat yourself up. There is not a practitioner in the world who has not felt, a sense of being ill at ease with it, with this regard. It happens. It's part of the reality we deal with. But the question is, what do you do to rebalance yourself? What can you do to ground? And if you are feeling very steady, are you in a position to be a source of encouragement to others? So there's just a few things to think about today. And then our journal prompt, what are you shutting out of your life during autumn? And I picked this very pretty door, and it's got all the seasonal fruits and stuff, on this great big garland and the wreath on the door. But you'll notice that the door is firmly shut. And something about when I look at the door, it doesn't feel like there's going to be an invitation to go through it anytime soon. So that's why I chose it to contemplate the concept of what are we shutting out. And shutting things out, that's not always a bad thing. And honestly, I think we would all probably benefit if we were a little bit more judicious about what energies we were allowing into our lives. So, that does it for the day. I hope you have a magical day. If you are interested, you are welcome to follow me on X at Blackbird's Brew. The Blackbird Grimoire channel appears on YouTube and Rumble. And of course, you are very welcome to join the Oak and Elder Witchery on Gilded. There's a link in the description box. But I think that's where we'll leave it today, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye for now.